short prayer, wasn't really prepared, but, dear Lord, help this board to make the right decisions for the county, and in your name we do pray, amen.
Amen.
Roll call vote. Roll call.
Commissioner Brough?
Here.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen?
Here.
Commissioner Root?
We'll be here.
Commissioner McMaster?
Here.
Commissioner Cascarelli?
Here.
Chairman Hart?
Here. Next, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the September 13, 2018 Board of Commissioners meeting.
So moved.
Motion, support? Support. Motion, support. Is there any discussion or discrepancies? If not, all in favor of approving it, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Approval of the bills, we're gonna, that's Jeremy, right? So we're gonna move on for a minute on that. First opportunity for the public to address the board. With no one, we're gonna go to committee reports. Commissioner McMaster?
Mr. Chair, on item A, I move to approve
Committee
the
reports,
consent
I'm sorry.
agenda.
Committee reports.
Oh, I'm sorry, committee reports.
Planning Commission,
Planning Commission, obviously we just had those two items that we're dealing with this week, that came before us. Capillary Community Services, I don't have anything new, and, Michigan Works, I don't have anything new to report.
okay. Commissioner Brough. Or Commissioner Olshausen?
I want to call them CMA, but it's not CMA.
Council on Aging, we had a meeting Wednesday, and I think the most, she didn't figure it in the budget, and she don't know if it's gonna be over a little bit, but with the minimum wage going up, she didn't figure that in there, so minimum wage is gonna go up, so,
Which is why I asked
yeah.
about the, the money is there, and I did let her know, or she told me that the money's there, that people voted for it. She asked for what, 4.7 or 0.047 or whatever, but she asked under, so there's a little room there, and I did let her know that it is if she finds it's gonna be a crunch. This is a surprise for everybody. They bumping that up the way they did, as much as they did, 75 cents an hour. And they have 14 employees that are at $9.25. They all have to be moved up now for an annual, for forever. And by 2022, they want it to be $12 an hour. So we're going to see these kind of increases every single year now, and probably across the board. Obviously, minimum wage is now going to be $10. Is what projected. So I did let her know that because the community has voted that money in, it is there available for her. She doesn't want to use it unless she has to. She's going to be this close on it.
Not good for them to not have a little bit of a cushion, are we?
Right. CMH, I'll call it community mental health because I'm blanking on the community health and wellness. Did pass their 2018-2019 plan and budget. That's what we covered in that. And Valley Area Agency on Aging, VAAA over in Flint. We do have a new CEO now. Yashika is the new CEO. And sorry, I can't remember her last name, so I just call her Yashika. And we went over budget. They, again, are doing exceptionally well. They're doing very, very well with the investments, placing the excess money that they have. There's a certain amount that they can actually put in investments, and of course they're doing very, very well. So they have a pretty good cushion. One of my things that I told Cynthia, our local council on aging, was that because they have so much money at the Valley Area Agency, from them too. They do have a considerable amount of money. They like to hang on to it pretty tight. Don't like to send it out too much. And we are a member of that particular group. That should cover that. All my townships are good. I went to all of them. Went to Shiawassee Township, Fairfield, Middlebury, Rush Township. And I went as a listening person. I didn't really have anything to report, so I just listened. The only thing I've already talked about and asked about was the park in Henderson. You know, and the progress that's happening there. Everybody else didn't have much for me.
Commissioner Olshausen, anything more to add?
No, I was on the same committee, he was on the health and wellness and the senior citizen board, so things are going good.
Thanks. The Mid-Michigan Trailway Authority did not meet last, we will be meeting next week. And then, unfortunately, due to technology glitch, apparently the Solid Waste Committee did meet last week. Their emails were going into my spam folder, so I was unaware of that. They did take one action to approve the mission statement, which reflects some minor changes. They also discussed potentially providing funding for a recycling coordinator position in 2019 to manage e-waste and household hazardous waste, but no formal action was taken. And they also attended Perry Township board meetings last month in Woodhull Township.
Commissioner Rutt, any meeting reports?
Probably nothing really new to add. 911, I think we know the MERS stuff we're dealing with. That's kind of what we talked about. That's been our goal every time we've met is, and I think they see that there was a problem. Now it's not so much that the county was taking money as far as there was just an error that now I think we're all kind of on the same page as working together to fix. And they were willing to pay, how we told them they would pay nothing until October 31st. They were willing to start paying something so that they don't get farther behind. So they are willing to pay now. And I think they're starting to see with the numbers that came back and some of the stuff we presented to them that they're understanding that their payment's probably going to be higher than they were accustomed to begin with. It's not going to be the $90,000, but it's going to be higher than the $15,000 they were used to paying. And then health board, most of the stuff's on the agenda. I think most of us met the new finance director. Larry hired a new finance director. The building is going up. It's actually going up faster than I thought. I mean, they're still looking to be in there by February, but it's going up pretty quick. And then I-69 corridor did meet, but I was unable to attend.
I did go to the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, and but we did not have enough people for a quorum, so nothing happened there. We just talked a little bit about Henderson Park and everything moving forward with that. So there's going to be in the next month or two there will be a lot more to report back onto the park. I also went to the MTA. Not really much to report back to this board on that, other than they are having their annual dinner, and now it's going to be at I've seen it's going to be at Rivals. They're going to offer like a $5 burger and fries or something like that. They were going to have it at out to DeMars, but it was like $26 a plate, and everybody was backing out on it. So they had a little more reasonable, and you can go out there and have a few drinks or whatever, and hopefully it'll turn out to be
When is it?
party.
When is it?
November 1st.
Is that, yeah, without, I have to scroll through my phone, I don't know.
November
the
1st.
paper.
Thursday, November
6
1st.
o'clock.
Oh,
6 o'clock at Rivals.
Dollar beers, $5 sandwiches.
You know,
There was talk of having Tim Skubik as the guest speaker, but his speaker fees have went up substantially, so I don't believe there's going to be a speaker, at least at this point.
so that would conclude the committee reports. Now we're going to go back up to Commissioner Rutt to do the approval of the bills.
I move to approve invoice edit reports dated 9/13/2018, the amount of $308,558.08. 9/20/2018, $1,200,000 $28,304.28. 9/21/2018, $912,014.45. 9/21/2018, $105,425.70. 9/28/2018, $581,553.57. 10/1/2018, $26.64. 10/4/2018, $3,717,515.61. 10/4/2018, $254,996.56. 10/11/2018, $599,999.64. 10/12/2018, $538,576.96, for a total of $8,246,971.49. 2 wire transfers, one dated 10/2/2018, the amount of $245,851, and one on 10/17/2018, the amount of $300,442.19. And asset warrants be drawn for treasury for same.
I'll support that. Is there any questions, discrepancies? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Pascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brock,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes. Okay, now we are at, Committee of the Whole, Commissioner Marks. So,
So I'm vice chair, so I'll do it.
Vice Chair.
So I move to approve the consent agenda for items 1, 2, and 3.
Second. Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I think we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Pascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brock,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, and Chairman Barnes.
Yes.
Okay, item B, I move to approve the minutes of the October 17th, 2018 Committee of the Whole meeting.
Motion and support. Is there any discussion or discrepancies? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
That completes the Committee of the Whole report.
Thank you, Commissioner McMaster. Economic and Physical Development, Commissioner McMaster.
Item A, I move to adopt amendments to the Shiawassee County zoning ordinance to amend Article 5, Section 5.3.1 to increase maximum allowable accessory structure sizes and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
There's motion and support. Matt's here. Do you want to just explain this briefly?
Sure.
Where you're at on it? And I think we're kind of all good with this one anyway, so.
Yeah, and I understand there was some discussion yesterday about non-conforming lots. There are quite a few parcels that are in non-conforming size in the county, and if we get an application for a new barn, we would look at the existing size of the lot at that time of the application. Was there anything further I think you wanted me to look at? It's essentially, I guess I'll do back up. This did come about at the direction of the Board of Appeals. We've seen quite a bit of variances for barn sizes. People are getting more toys, more RVs, and they want to store them under a structure, so that's kind of what prompted these amendments to increase the allowable barn size on properties.
It should have nothing to do with, anybody with a lot under 2.5 acres is still gonna have to go along with what the regulations are.
Correct.
That was the discussion yesterday, right?
Yes.
The word existing.
Existing or not existing, so. If somebody was to end up at this point with a lot larger than 2.5 acres, then I guess it's however it all falls out, as long as everything's to code, so to speak, then they would be able to put up what they want.
Correct.
I'm good with that. Anybody else has any other questions? Or? I just had a question on it yesterday, so. With that being said, do we need to, I guess we don't need to roll call it. So all in favor of this, passing this, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same, motion carries.
Okay, item B, I move to approve the minutes of the October 15, 2018 Economic and Physical Development Committee meeting.
Support.
Motion and support, is there any discussion or discrepancies? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, that completes my report.
Mr. Chairman, on number A, that is an ordinance amendment.
So we have to do roll
So
call.
we do-
Probably should do roll
Okay, I didn't know.
That's
I
fine.
didn't see any money, so I didn't know. I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, could we go back to? Yep. A, economic and physical development with a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries. Did we complete item B?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner McMasters. Now we're on to county finance and administration. I believe everything from here on out does have to do with money, so it'll be roll call. County finance and administration, Commissioner Rupp.
Sir, Chairman. I move to approve the bid of Wausau Carpet Center, $8,546.70 from purchase and installation of carpeting in the prosecutor's office, and authorize building ground superintendent to execute the contract.
Support.
Motion and support now. Is there any discussion on this?
What color are you getting?
Whatever color's the cheapest.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries.
Move to authorize the renewal of a contract between Shiawassee County and Wakasa Inc. to provide a supportive visitation coach for children who are placed in and out of home care for the period of 10/1/18 through 9/30/19, not to exceed the amount of $49,998, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents, knowing this is being funded out of the chapter fund.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries.
I move to adopt MERS agreements to amend divisions 20, 22, 23, 26, and 27 to reestablish the E2 COLA option for the affected pension plans for the Sheriff's Department employees hired after September 12, 1996, and authorize the county coordinator or board chair to certify the documents.
Support. Any discussion? I'm not blaming anybody or anything like that, but, we actually just, ended up talking with Joe Sawyer a little bit, this afternoon, and this was brought up. He was actually deployed at the time. He was a commissioner, but he was deployed, and we did have a county coordinator, at the time. So I won't even mention his name. I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to, blame anybody, but, we did have a county coordinator at the time, so that's just makes it a little bit harder even if how this got by us, but, I don't wanna dwell on this. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries.
Move to authorize, per the recommendation of the Solid Waste Committee, the expenditure as needed up to $5,000 from the Waste Management Fund for recycling programs, specifically with regard to electronic waste cleanup disposal.
Support.
Motion and support, is there any discussion? Here again, talked with Rick Crawford, they're just concerned about the amount of electronic waste more so than the price increase, so. If she doesn't, we're only gonna, I'll give her what she needs extra, and other will stay, in this line item, in case they need it for household hazardous cleanup or something like that, so. That was
Melissa,
discussed.
you're talking about.
Melissa, this was discussed at the committee meeting for them last week, so roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes.
Move to authorize adding Allstate as a second optional supplemental insurance.
Support.
Motion support, any discussion, did you find out anything, Mike, on that?
Yes, Aflac doesn't have any rules, so they will continue being a source.
Supplier.
You can add Allstate. In fact, Mrs. Greenberg, I believe, I bring a card in here. She came in today, and Aflac will probably send some mailers and stuff to employees, telling them, you know, that they understand another one's been selected, and I imagine
Do their best to be competitive.
or talk, put forward the services or where they think they're better. That's free to do that.
So hopefully it'll just be a better
What you'll have,
situation for
for
the
example,
employees.
Excuse me, I couldn't tell who seconded that.
I believe it was Dan.
And two of them, so. That's fine. I don't believe this needs to be a roll call. All in favor of this, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
I move to approve the minutes of the October 15, 2018 Finance and Administration Committee meeting.
Support. Motion support. Is there any discussion or discrepancies on this? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Root. Public Safety and Courts, Commissioner Casarelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item A, move to authorize the 35th Circuit Court to contract with the Michigan Drug Court, grant the amount of $67,000 for the period of 10/1/18 to 9/30/19, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
Motion support. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Chairman Barnes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Item B, I move to authorize the 35th Circuit Court to contract with Swift Insure Sanctions probation grant the amount of $48,000 for the period of 10/1/18 to 9/30/19, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Motion, and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Item C, I move to authorize the 35th Circuit Court to contract with Michigan Mental Health Court grant in the amount of $18,142.50 for the period of 10/1/18 to 9/30/19, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
Brooks supports it. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Item D, I move to authorize the 35th Circuit Court to contract with the Office of Highway Safety and Planning grant in the amount of $40,000 for the period of 10/1/18 to 9/30/19, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
Motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
No. I'm sorry, yes. I'm sorry.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Item E, I move to adopt a resolution regarding procedures for funding compliance with the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission MIDC agreements.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? Roll call vote on this too, I guess, please.
Commissioner Brock,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes. Motion carries.
Item F, I move to select and appoint a public defender. Employment to commence in accordance with MIDC compliance agreement, receipt of grant funds, and availability of the appointee.
Support.
Motion and support. Discussion.
Discussion is, in my mind, who are we down to? What are the choices that we have?
Okay, so you got the email today?
Oh, great, no, it wasn't on my computer at all. Okay, sorry.
It would come about
Can we-
2:30.
Can we,
I can give a brief supplement.
can we print that out and just pass it around? Can we do that?
Here's how many extra copies do you need? Most of you.
I read it.
I got one.
I have
Pass that around to Commissioner Brooke.
You said, Jeremy?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Olshausen. So I guess I'll start, so there were actually 4 applicants for the position of public defender. Douglas Corwin, Amy Husted, Christopher Johnson, and Christina Walsh. And their full resumes were attached to the email. All 4 of them have sat down with a screening committee, which consisted of Commissioner Rudd, Coordinator Herding, and Prosecutor Finnegan. And talked. So everybody's looked at this, and we've kind of narrowed it down to 2 at this point, which is Mr. Corwin and Mr. Johnson. So I see both these gentlemen are here. We're actually not going to have any kind of a public debate or back and forth. Questions will be directed to any of the committee members or to the anybody that's a commissioner. Commissioner Olshausen.
I'd like to hear Mr. Rutt's report on it, if I could. Did you select somebody then that you thought that was?
Yeah, I think of these 2, they were both, I think, a little further ahead than the other 2. Meeting with both of them, I think Mr. Corwin had more of a, just very enthusiastic about the job and the willingness to accept the job. But Mr. Johnson is willing to as well. There's, I mean, it's hard to pick between the 2. I think my preference at this time is Mr. Corwin, but both are qualified, and it's obviously up to this board to make the final decision. But I mean, they're both neck and neck. They both have good experience. They both have, the same abilities in running a department, managing other staff, criminal defense. I mean, they're really neck and neck.
I want to agree. I haven't talked to Dean at all, but I've talked to Mike, talked to Jeremy. Very, very close gentlemen. But I think I kind of lean towards Mr. Corwin also.
The information that I have gathered, I'm not totally ignorant on the situation. I have in my head decided who I would like, but I'm a little reluctant only because I'm not as educated and on these gentlemen as I should be. I don't know if it'd be fair, really, for me to flip a coin and pick one, although I do lean toward one individual, so I'm toying with that idea. I'm not sure I'm going to vote on this.
Commissioner
my experience in instances like these, you have a committee, you hope that they evaluate the candidates. Of course, we had the criteria for doing so, and they would come back with a recommendation based on those face-to-face interviews that the others weren't privy to. So I was really looking to the committee to, one, rank out the eligibility, make sure they were all eligible for the position, and then in a rank order, their preference for moving forward and offering that position. So I guess that's kind of where I'm at. It sounds like from the committee and others, Mr. Corwin sort of risen to the top, but I don't feel I'm in a position to make that motion, not having been part of the face-to-face interviews, and I'm really relying on my colleagues and the work they did to move forward.
Commissioner Olshausen?
Well, I wasn't on the interview either, but I guess I'd go with the recommendation of the people that talked to him, that Douglas, Corbin. I make that resolution that we.
You make a motion?
Yes.
Support.
And your motion was, I'm sorry, clear here?
I just make a motion that we offer the job to Douglas Corbin.
I'll support that.
Motion and support. Any other discussion?
Just a little more clarification on my decision. When the vote comes to me, I also agree with that scenario, that do rely on the group. As you all relied on Commissioner McMaster and myself for administrative assistant. So I am aware, and obviously you voiced those opinions openly in this meeting, so I'm prepared for it.
Like I said again, out of the four of them, both these gentlemen are, either of them will make a great department head, I believe, but ultimately it has to come down to one or the other, so.
Yeah, I think the idea of the committee was to bring these two forward, you know, being that this is a brand new position and it is a big deal. You know, it's not simply refilling a vacancy somewhere or refilling staff, you know, in our office. So it, you know, we probably could have been a little more honed in on who was the front runner or whatever, but I think it was probably fair to this body that I'm the only commissioner that sat on there, and I'd be the only one that tells this board who we should hire. I mean, I was looking a little more for your guys' input, being that this email and description took all week, and it didn't help the process for you guys either, but I did want to, you know, we did cut the two out, and we did want to make it kind of this board collectively kind of having a discussion without talking too much about the candidates and their names in public through course of a week of meetings. So definitely something we can work on better next time.
I might add, I'd just like to thank all of the applicants, including the two finalists that are here tonight. And in addition to yourself, Commissioner, I'd also be very deferential to the other committee members and their participation in that process. So I surmise from both the narrative and the body language here that one individual has risen to the top, so I'm willing to support that individual.
No other discussion, roll call vote, please.
This is for Commissioner Olshausen's motion.
Yes,
Commissioner Marks is excused. Commissioner Olshausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Root?
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster?
No.
Commissioner Cascarelli?
Yes.
Commissioner Brough?
Yes.
Chairman Barnes?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Chris, very much. Congratulations, Doug.
Which one is it?
You gotta have the spaces out.
Commissioners, I am Douglas Corwin. Nice to meet you all.
Get to know a lot better.
Once again, Chris, thank you very much. I mean, it was not an easy decision. It makes it even harder when you're both sitting here, you know what I mean? But it was very close, so Thank you. Okay, moving on.
Okay, I would move to approve the minutes of the October 16, 2018 Public Safety and Courts Committee meeting.
Support. Motion is support. Any discussion or discrepancies? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Castro. Health and Human Services, Commissioner Rook.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to authorize the Health Department to enter into a grant agreement with Michigan Primary Care Association for the Durant School Wellness Program, the amount of $150,000 for the period of 10/1/18 to 9/30/19, and authorize Larry Johnson, Health Director, to sign all necessary documents.
Motion is support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Roth,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries.
Move to authorize the Health Department to contract with Shiawassee Regional Educational Service District for hearing and vision screenings for children aged 0 to 5 in the amount of $12,000 for the period of 10/1/18 to 9/30/19, and authorize Larry Johnson, Health Director, to sign all necessary documents.
Motion is support. Commissioner Olshausen. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Roth,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Olshausen, Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries.
I move to authorize the Health Department to borrow $600,000 from Huntington Bank to be paid back over 10 years, with the annual payments from the Health Department budget to be used towards the build cost of the Capitan Center, and authorize Larry Johnson, Health Director, to sign all necessary documents.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Roth,
Yes.
Chairman Barnes.
Yes, motion carries.
I move to approve the minutes of the October 16, 2018 Health and Human Service Committee meeting.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion or discrepancies? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Rutt. Now we're on to a new line item that's going to be here from now on, possibly. And that's, we're going to get an update from Mike on what he's been doing and what's going on.
Well, from the administration office, you already heard Commissioner Root talk about the items with MERS. That's been a long-running item. The COLA option has hopefully been resolved with these items tonight, and we'll get those out, and that'll be taken care of. Upcoming is the divisions 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, which will have 911 employees carved out of them and into 3 new divisions. Of the 169 employees in those 5 divisions, there were 41 identified as having been 911 employees. It looks like at least 2 of them were not. So, I mean, those corrections are being made. One's been made, another one will be, and there may yet be some sorting out there. But essentially, you're going to have some 40, 39, 38, 40 employees who are going to be moved into 3 new divisions. And that's still pending. The items you got today and voted on, you'll be getting items like that that'll talk about how that'd be more of a division of costs and so forth. But there is going to have to be allocation. The way we have been calculating, even what they pay, is not exact. It results in some underpayment for the current employees, but it may have also resulted in overpayment for employees who are retired. We have yet to see that. So we'll have to, or to the unfunded liability of those employees, and we'll have to see that. The City of Corunna issues, this is stuff that's happened since our last meetings. As you know, we were in court last month, and there was a lot of acrimony and stuff going on that has now been resolved. The property was quitclaimed to the property that we had, the 10 acres down there at Lion Street, was quitclaimed to the city in exchange for a rent at 701 Norton Street. And of course, we've got the construction going on or being planned for the River Home property. That will alleviate that when it's completed. Finance director. We've had trouble. I've reposted it. This time I've said it will be open until filled. Please respond promptly. And it will be going on, we have to register as an employer with it, but it will go on to the Michigan Talent site, which will almost assuredly result in applications. Some who hopefully are qualified, probably a number of them that are not, but we'll probably see applications. We had a long list of, if you read the job description for it, you would find it's pretty involved. Frankly, if somebody could do all those things right now, they're probably already employed at a higher pay, or had that level of experience and qualifications. So it will probably result in some kind of compromise. I suspect the compromise will be in the area of experience. But you can learn the job if they have the tools to learn the job, the education, and what experience they do have, and they show the appropriate talent, and they can learn the job, and that's where we'll go. We had MIDC. As you know, been in pretty, I wouldn't say constant, but pretty regular contact with the Michigan Association of Counties. This discussion continues. If you read the items that were sent as part of the packet, you'll see that there have already been movement on the issues that have been identified in the resolution you passed today. And that resolution talked about a number of problems with Michigan Indigent Defense Council, the way they administer the grant, and how it comports with the law, and to the extent it conflicts with it, we're looking to have relief there. Obviously, Mr. Corwin will be dealing with it as well. As long as it doesn't back out.
If I may ask a question?
Yes.
So as I understand it, it's a timing issue with respect to when funds are reimbursed to the county from the state. Isn't that the gist? Setting the office up?
The actual contract and their procedure, first of all, it's disturbing, as you can see in the resolution you passed. It's disturbing that they are treating this like it's a grant. This is a Headley issue. They have to provide funding if they're going to mandate these types of operations. And they want to pay 50%. I believe it's 50%. It's in the resolution. It's an upfront.
It's not 25%,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I think you're right. I think it's 20 or 25%. As an upfront payment, and then there would be quarterly reimbursements, which involve a lot of data collection and reporting, which is not funded in the grant itself. Then they want to treat it like reimbursements, which can add some jeopardy. You know, if the documents aren't right, or the grant, they find the grant's not used properly. You don't want to be in a situation where we have committed to substantial sums to things like office space and building out an office and things and so forth, and have to get into a fight over things like that.
So I guess what I'm asking then is just, it's a timing issue, and you're still working through that process, and it sounds like both parties are sort of trying to meet in the middle.
Yes, I have dealt with the liaison. We're getting some consideration, and that's the other thing. Upon the initial payment, you have 6 months to be in compliance. We're still going to have that, but there's going to, right now, they've agreed in principle to a much larger disbursement at the outset. The statute would imply that you don't have to meet the criteria until the entire grant sums, as agreed to in the compliance contract has been received. But as with anything, sometimes the regulations or the interpretations differ. That's what's going on there, and there has, like I said, there has been movement.
Okay, and what's your take on, you think we'll obviously be able to resolve this to our satisfaction, Mike? I mean, how long does this go out into the future?
If they remain as accommodating as they have been, and it seems like they're willing to work with the people, and in fact, even the grant has some room to move on, because they know that they're starting up departments in these counties that are doing this. I mean, we're starting a department that's gonna have seven employees. You know, you go to Ingham County, they're gonna have 36 in there. But nevertheless, it is a big undertaking. So I am optimistic that that part of it will work.
Okay. Thank you.
We have looked at office space, but there's some other spots we're looking at too. I believe Mr. Corwin at one point in his interview indicated that he had scoped out some too. I'll look forward to talking with him about that. But I don't want to get too much into what we're looking at as far
I
as.
too have this week been reached out by somebody.
Yes.
And it's something that, not to be made public at this point.
Right. Right. Anytime it involves the acquisition of real estate, whether by lease or purchase, we wouldn't do that openly until we had a contract ready. But that's going on. We'll also be looking to do build-outs probably wherever we go. And there's money in the budget for that. There will also be, I mean, this is a huge undertaking. This is the setting up of computers and other office equipment. There's a copier contract that's going to have to be adjusted and allocated. The legal research tools, Westlaw, and so forth will be available. It's major. There's 3 assistant public defenders and 2 legal secretaries and a part-time investigator yet for the public defender that will be hired. That's what's going on with that. I believe I said on the finance director, we're putting that on Michigan Talent. Yes, all right.
I'd like to make some comments before we get up. Finance director, I'm sure Mr. Herondine knows what I'm gonna say about this. We have an individual that sits in this office a couple times a week that is interested in this position and has applied for this position. Has not been afforded the opportunity for an interview. We've not met with her, we've not discussed it with her. She's shown interest in it. She's put her resume in. Technicalities of her she was applying for a finance administrator instead of a director, so she's disqualified.
That's not the case.
That's unacceptable.
That's not the case.
I mean, you're saying her salary is out there, what she's making now, but she's actively reaching out to us for this position. We're paying $200 an hour to have these people sit in here when we've had this position open for 2 months now, or more, I think more than that. And she's interested in the position. And we're reaching out to other people in the county that aren't even qualified for the position, unbeknownst to their employer or their department head. And I just guess the rest of the board ought to know we have an individual that's interested, that's qualified, that's getting our budget fixed, that's fixing all of the problems we've had going forward, working with our treasurer's office, who's been way behind the 8 ball. I mean, doing everything that we need, and we're not even affording her an interview or a chance to take it. We're not giving her the opportunity to see what she will take for salary. You and I have had this conversation many, many times, but I don't think the board's known anything about it or had, any known that what we're paying contractually to her employer. And I just think it's only fair that we offer her the job if she's, I'm not saying offer, give it to her, but at least give her the chance to interview and see what she's willing to take, see if she wants to, work here. That's it.
The answer is yes, I have her. She put in she's well aware of what salary the board has authorized. She put in for $86,000, which is far in excess of even what I had originally requested. I would like to see the paperwork. But more than that, I don't have to interview her to know if she does the job. I mean, I know she has the tools to do it. There's other reasons I don't like to get into talking about money and the reasons. I can certainly respond to any commissioner that wants to talk to me. But I've talked to her, and I don't think, from my talks with her, that she is sincerely interested in applying for the job as it exists at the current payroll. I have talked to her, and that is the clear indication. So, it's not that she's out of the question, because she could do the job. But it's unfair to say I haven't interviewed her. I don't have to interview her to know she can do the job. And I have talked to her. I have talked to her about whether she.
But it's true, you have an
So
interview.
do we need to raise the salary?
We discussed that very, very much, and we decided that we would not do that.
Right. Current salary set at what? That we're advertising over time?
68.
68, we can't find anybody.
Well, I don't want to say we can't find one. I think we're going to. We did find one. She ended up not taking the job. But,
We've been talking about this for how long?
Well, we just keep kicking the can.
I mean, I don't know.
we're
I think
gonna,
we need to raise
we'll
the
get some
salary.
applications soon.
We may need to
I
raise
don't know
it,
if we have
and
the
we
money
may
for it or not,
need
but-
we may need to move.
If we raise it, we
Things are
probably
going
will.
right.
I was
Things are
all for
going
that
well
at the
right now,
beginning, and I
so-
know Commissioner Marks and I think even Commissioner Rudd, at that time, everybody really wanted to stay at that level, so that's something we need to discuss. If we were to raise it, I'm sure it would bring in a whole slew.
We
Highly
could improve,
qualified.
yes, there are people that would apply if the pay was not.
I think we're missing the fact of a valued employee or an asset that we have. Regardless of who's coming in or who applies from the outside, we've got somebody that's proven for over a year that they can do this. This person was working along with Patricia too, keeping us in line, keeping us afloat. This person has been doing our bank reconciliations for a year and a half. That's a treasury function. She's been doing them herself. I mean, this person is proven. I mean, what more do we need? I mean, I guess anybody can apply. We don't know them. We don't know their work ethic. We don't know how they'll do. I mean,
There are other reasons that I have talked to her. There are other reasons. She has not sincerely applied for the job. Now, I don't believe it's appropriate here to go into any of that. And,
well, I think the rest of the commission needs to know.
well, they can be informed without being here, because there are a lot of reasons I can't tell you.
But they haven't known for quite some time, and here we've been wondering why we don't have a finance director for.
I don't think we're
Months on
wondering.
end.
We're gonna have to make a compromise.
They didn't know they got somebody actively wanting the job either.
I disagree that she actively wants the job.
I disagree as well.
Well, maybe you do, but it's my call. All right.
Can I ask, can we just talk about a plan going forward here?
Yes.
Maybe some concentrated effort?
I believe we will see some
timeline
applications.
for-
When this is on my talent, I think we will get some applications. Hopefully
Based
they'll be
on the
qualified.
current salary offer,
Yes, that's what's being offered right now. If the board wants to raise it, I can probably attract some other candidates.
I guess, Jeremy, I'd ask if we should ask her to give us another resume, and it should be looked at, and she should be seriously discussed.
Until she got to apply for the position.
If she applied for one that was the wrong position,
It's not because of the name.
Semantics. She said administrator because that's what the position's been for 2.5 years instead of director.
See, this is where this is going astray. That wasn't the reason. I never said it was the reason. The reason was she asked for a pay of $86,000, and we are offering at maximum $68,000. And I can go into further discussion. I would not mind working with her if she was sincere about it. I can go into further reasons, but this is not the time to do that. She has not sincerely applied for that job.
Mr. Chair,
That's a fact.
can I just maybe request that we put in place a process going forward? I know the next November meeting is only 2 weeks away, so maybe December is more realistic, but that we have a serious candidate that we can all put our arms around and embrace.
That's not what we voted on. We voted on for him
Yes,
to hire somebody.
at
yes,
$68,000.
yes, this is part of my contract.
You have that authority, okay, forgive me. So can we, well, regardless of that authority we've already given you, can we set a deadline by our December meeting that we have somebody sitting in that chair who's accepted that position to the best of our ability to make that happen?
I would be very disappointed if we didn't, Commissioner. I mean, we did have one, I thought, would have been an excellent choice. Frankly, preferable to this one for experience reasons, but nevertheless, she turned it down.
Well, I mean, I don't want to rush it to get somebody in the chair, but I think December gives us ample time to review candidates, do whatever we need to do.
I would look forward to having one by that time, yes.
Is there any chance that we could maybe bump it just a little bit, give you the authority in case?
Well, that's up to the 7 of us, but that is not what we voted on. I mean, that, you gotta remember, he is, at this point, trying to work within the realm of what we told him he could spend. He told us at the time that wasn't enough.
And I said it wasn't enough, and here we are.
And I said it
It's not
wasn't
enough.
enough.
But this current salary that's being offered is the adjusted salary
Bump it
based
up
on
now.
the wage study.
You know, I bump it up about $10,000.
It is based on the wage study as the wage study
Right.
ended up, but there was some maneuvering with the wage study. It's not important to get into it. And it had to do with based on who was in the office at the time and some other things.
I think we have to be careful, we can't.
I don't want to discuss that. It probably should have been pay grade 12 instead of 11.
Was that substantiated by the wage study?
The wage study has it at maximum 68,000. Has pay grade 11, but another thing, the wage study was basically 2 years ago, and the market for people who are taking these jobs now has moved up. And there's more employment available for them, so it's making it look.
I mean, I think state employment, I just saw, is down to 4%, the lowest it's been in almost 20 years here in the state, so that compounds what we're faced with. But, I mean, if it's a matter of bumping it up to create a little more incentive, we're not requiring a CPA for this position, are we? Is that one of the
CPA is highly desirable, but not required.
But not
No.
required. It's 68, not an MBA, not a CPA, but preferable at 68.
That's correct.
Then employment at 4% in a professional position.
I
I would entertain,
Problem is right now.
moving it up to 72 or 75.
I'm the one that's so typewise.
And in addition to low unemployment right now, you also have, not every week, but every 2-3 weeks, we have some new financial thing that we're coming out with, so. I mean, you have to wonder if you're looking at coming to work here and what's come out with the COLA stuff, what's the MERS situation, and everything else we've had this last year. You have to start wondering, and if somebody wants to make a motion, I'll support it, if you wanna raise it.
If you want a suggestion, if you do decide to raise it, my suggestion would be that instead of pay grade 11, it goes to pay grade 12.
What is that?
Pay grade 12, instead of going up to 68,000, goes to up to 78,000. Essentially, it's a pay of a public defender.
$10,000.
So would they come in at 68 and they have the room to grow into 78? Is that where they come in at the top?
They wouldn't come in at the top, but they probably would come in at several steps down. And it'd probably take, I would probably put it in the realm of them making it in about 3 years to the top.
So I would offer a motion that we increase the salary, starting salary of 72,000, change it to a 12 level, give them some room for growth, with the hope that 72 creates some additional incentive for individuals considering the position.
Or,
Is that the pay scale 12, is that the starting range then?
No, on pay grade 12, the current top pay is 78,000.
Okay.
He or she would probably be started in the 74.
Okay.
It depends on qualification. Some may well be, I believe the lowest part of that pay scale, if they had lesser qualifications, it might be, 68. But
I think we need to be very careful here. We don't just start throwing out numbers. We have to, we
I mean,
ran into
what's
this
one of the
situation before.
employees
We
that
gotta
runs
look at what's established. I mean, if what Commissioner Coscarelli is suggesting, let's say 72,000, if that figure doesn't exist on a pay grade, then we can't do that. Then we're creating our own pay grades. Now, let's stick with the pay grades.
Yeah, well, yes, but this is a unique employee, just like I am, and just like certain other, just like the public defenders.
It's gotta fall into a category somewhere. I think we're opening up a huge can of worms if we start throwing out random figures because we need to hit somebody. And I'm not trying to be critical of your suggestion. I agree that we need to make it competitive, but we have to stick within the parameters that we've set up, that we agreed to in our wage study and our change. I mean, we increased a whole bunch of salaries here, and for us to just create a new one is inappropriate.
Yeah, Commissioner, I am suggesting the pay grade 12. Right now it's pegged at pay grade 11. I suggest pay grade 12. And that has a range, just like everything else. I'm just telling you the top pay of it is 78.
That's what I was basing my motion on, in the position and a $17 million budget, the responsibility of this position and all the things that go along with it. And what I know about the industry, it doesn't seem unreasonable that we'd be able to offer, or grow into 78,000 with a starting salary of 70 to 72.
Yes, and the other thing to consider about it is while it raises the pay $10,000, I mean the maximum pay $10,000. Frankly, the cost of the employee, the fixed cost, if the person takes insurance, for example, and you have the pension costs and those items like that, you're really talking 100 and, this is just rough. You're talking 145,000 instead of 135,000.
35% on fringe on
Yeah.
salary, so it'd be more like 100.
Right, so it's not really like it's even that, that much.
Well, 12 goes from $60,569.60 at step 1. Step 9 is $78,748.80. So somewhere within that range, I'm sure there's something close to the 72, maybe not exactly 72,000, but yeah,
So we
that's
could
our
leave
range.
it, we could leave the starting salary at 68, just bump up the range that they can grow into that, to use that to incent the position and increase.
I think you need to give me discretion. I don't need to bring them in at the high one, but I would probably bring them in at step 6 or 7, unless we really were making a compromise. In which case, I would do that lower, and that's traditionally been the option of department heads over the years. They have been able to bring in, Dina hires somebody, she doesn't bring them in at step 1.
Well, it just makes a difference. If I'm coming in and I'm at the cap at this position, where's the room for growth? If I come in at 68, but I know I can go to 78,
The growth is when you give COLA raises. But not to be facetious. The growth would be that I probably would not start them at the top, I'd start them several steps.
I'm just trying to solve a problem here, so
The
whatever it's gonna take.
motion was,
Pay grade 12?
yeah,
So if I can modify my motion that,
Got one thing for you.
Okay.
Step 6 on that scale is $71,926.40. Step 6 on the 12.
so I
3 years still to grow.
So if I could modify my motion that we change our delegated authority to the county coordinator to hire a finance director at a level 12 and let him have the discretion to bring somebody in at the step he deems appropriate based on that person's experience.
Sounds good to me.
I'll
I'll support that.
yeah. No further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
You seconded it and you seconded it.
Mr. Holshouse.
Okay.
That's fine.
Put him on record.
Just want to make
Sure,
sure.
we spend the money. That's a first.
Okay. Commissioner Root,
Yes.
Commissioner McMaster,
Yes.
Commissioner Cascarelli.
Yes.
Commissioner Brough,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks is excused, Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
and Chairman Barnes.
Yes.
Did I kill you to say yes?
All right, if I can continue.
Yep, now we're gonna move on to, I'm sorry, his report. Just once,
Cascarelli, just make sure you put that in writing.
Well, I gotta go. I gotta get to work, so.
okay, so I just wanna thank Commissioner Rook for, really you needed to bring that up. We just need to be level-headed when we talk about that. Needed to be brought up. This is something that needed to be discussed. I know it's been bothering you, we needed to get it going forward, and that's why we're gonna do this. Because Mr. Herdine is not my boss, he's not the finance chairman's boss, he's everybody's boss here. And we need to discuss these things, so that we can all get along. What's that?
I don't think I'm making a boss here. I'm bosses of some people, but not anybody here.
No. We're your bosses, and I already said it, but we just need to talk
Gary's his
about,
boss.
but we need to talk about this stuff, and we need to keep moving forward, and that's the way to do it. I know this has been bothering Commissioner Rudd, but we need to get it out.
Well, Mike and I had enough
Get it out.
discussions on it, I just figured we might as well let the board know.
Right, and I felt.
I can't do one thing, Mike can't do one thing, so.
And I felt that the biggest deal with her, and I think she's a great person, has just been the salary. So maybe we can.
It
work
may be,
something out.
maybe so.
And then we would all-
And she may truly, so we'll, I'll talk to you.
Okay,
But I
so
just not.
moving on with your report.
All right, I gotta go.
Thank you, Jeremy.
If I can finish,
All right,
if I can finish the report.
Yeah.
I'll-
go ahead.
Budgets. We had meetings with the department heads. We are drafting a complete budget at this time. We will probably get a draft to you guys ahead of the next meeting, which is only 3 weeks away. Because we have a short time frame this time because of a holiday. There's some things that we're going to be doing for the fiscal year 2019. One of them is to allocate some of the expenses that are now borne entirely by administration. By that I mean the Board of Commissioners and General Fund and so forth. One of those is the copier contract. The county, we've just been paying that, and it's like some $7,000 a month. And without allocating it to the various departments. Now, in allocating it to departments that are funded out of the general fund, let's just for example, the prosecutor's office, we will look to, their budget will be, the budget that was for that will be transferred to them. This will, but where this will help is for departments that have funding from other sources. Be it grants, be it 911, the people that have 66% funding, and actually the prosecutor has some of those too. But we'll be allocating that. We'll be allocating the monthly cost in the same manner for certain administrative functions, particularly ADP, which itself is another substantial payment per month, rate larger than a copier contract. So that will be coming up too. In addition, on that item, ADP, the board has voted to move forward with BSNA, and there was a demonstration this morning. I don't know if you made over that.
No.
There was a demonstration this morning. Most of the people I heard from on that were very positive. That will be a major undertaking for the county, as well as an expense, but the board contemplated that when they were. That will be a major undertaking for the county. There'll be a learning curve, but in fact, I think Carolyn was there.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal. I mean, it will be something but to have everybody under the same umbrella for processing certain things, it was very impressive.
Yeah, we can eliminate an employee from every office that
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Just the way they are able to work with the municipalities, and they will be able to accommodate the sheriff's office and the health department completely separate. I mean, it was just the questions that were being asked, and they just had answers, and showing us different things. It was very, very.
The right path, Michigan.
Just a couple things. In addition to that, is every day, probably a couple times a day at least, I take a lot of phone calls. I answer a lot of questions, both contract interpretations, from both management and other employees. I get questions, sometimes from department heads, on the best approach to take, either in language of something for the board, or presenting something, or in drafting items Many times it's a legal interpretation. I try to limit those to just things that involve administration of the county. So anyway, that goes on every day. Upcoming, we have, as the board may remember, some time ago, they agreed to join a large litigation case, opioid litigation. We have received a volume of interrogatories involved in the case. We've actually received them a while back. We need to get them in, and in fact, we will have I'll be meeting with a lawyer from New York, Mr. Farrell, who meets in Luxembourg, and somebody else maybe from their Detroit office next week. We got to get these interrogatories out and get them answered. There may be some for commissioners. The departments, primarily, they're going to have a significant number to answer will be prosecutor's office, the sheriff's department, maybe some of the county clerk's office, perhaps the treasurer's. When we entered into this opioid litigation, I wasn't here yet. I was sitting over there where Dean was sitting. And, when the sales attorney, I'll call him that, said, this won't cost you anything. I just, it doesn't usually work that way.
I've never seen anything great.
Yeah, so that is coming up. I don't know how many I've had them. I probably should. With everything going on, they didn't get distributed. They'll be coming because they got to be turned in. And some of the questions are, Dina knows how interrogatories can be with their multi-part questions. Anyway, that's up and coming. The other thing is the board needs to be aware, and I talked with Chairman Bartz earlier today. The Surbeck building's generator has not worked since the fire here next door. All servers in the county are located here at the Surbeck building. If power is lost, all our systems are down. And that likely includes 911, because of there's an LG connection here that's necessary for them
No,
to run.
the 911's not included, because that didn't go down when we had the fire.
No, but
They have their own generator, they're completely separate. They're
yes,
completely separate.
Dan, I know that, but the there's an LG connection that is here. This is what RESD told me today. There's an LG connection that's here that some components of their operation could be shut down.
Well, but it didn't happen, so.
Well, okay, I'm just telling
They
you.
can say, well, whatever, but real life situation, they were separate.
All right,
So I don't know, all the generator down from the other building, and we're good to go.
in any event,
10 times too big. It's not, that's what I say, we need to discuss, we need to get some prices.
Servers out of here, put them someplace else then. I don't know. It's stupid that we have redundant we have the server and the redundant server here in the same building. We went through this a couple months ago after we had the fire. And we talked about this, the emergency manager, I had this whole discussion, and here we are 3-4 months later, and we're still vulnerable.
well, like I said, I'm just passing it on to the board. I was called by RESD today, and they're concerned.
I brought this up 3-4 months ago.
I know we got a big dispute with the city over the fact that we reclaimed our generator from that building. Can we sell that and use those proceeds to buy another generator, which it sounds like we can't use this one for this purpose, but sell that and offset the cost of getting what we need?
I asked that too, so we need to get some, Dan brought it up and it just kind of falls wayside. And that's what we need to keep.
So
figuring out.
our original thought was the generator was gonna be for the courthouse, backup for the courthouse. And I don't know if it's too big, or I don't know.
It's just very expensive to get it hooked up. They're gonna
I mean, longer term, most of that stuff's, they're dispensing with servers and going to the cloud and just paying a subscription service to whether it's Amazon or any number of providers now. Are other counties making that switch, do we know? Is that something we want to entertain?
There are security issues with some of these. I mean, you're talking the laserfish from the prosecutor's office, you're talking traffic and so forth from the Sheriff's,
There are encryptions and all the other security measures in place, I think we
we
can.
can certainly look into anything.
It just seems like we want to keep moving forward and look out into the future, and you kind of, the point is moot if we need a generator or not, if we start thinking about a whole way to, distribute data and protect data.
I would suggest that, Commissioner, I wouldn't make it moved, because the building still
You
needs, the building still needs a generator.
Still need the generators.
Okay,
I mean, even if you're wireless, everything's in the cloud, it doesn't mean anything if you can't plug in your computer.
fair enough.
But
Anyway, I just want to.
I mean,
thank you.
Yeah, I wasn't passing judgment on our systems.
this is part of the discussion that needs to be had, and thank you for bringing this up, Mike. We need to get somebody in here and find out, the generator is sat now for, I don't know, almost a year. Find out, what is it worth? Can we use it? Do we need to sell it? What we need to do? We need to figure out what to do with the server and redundant server both being in this building.
Where's the generator here, right?
No, it's right
It's in the
outside.
back. It's right, it's behind Mike's office,
It's
like,
not that
That's
big.
what I said.
No, this is not.
We sold that.
nobody runs off natural
Pay
gas.
for the labor and all the, if we could sell that, pay for the labor and the new generator and all this
Let's look
other
into it.
stuff.
Let's look into it.
That's what we're just trying to,
Let's look into it.
Sounds like something we gotta do.
Unless there's any questions, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
I have a question, or just I think you're gonna need to start coming in on Saturdays, Mike. Maybe Sunday too.
You know, officially,
right, I'm
I
not
work
sticking around
32
for it, but he is
hours.
a part-time employee.
I've got it down to like 42 instead of 32.
Thanks for all your good work, Mike. We probably hammer away at you here, and I know you gotta have thick skin to sit over in that chair, but, thank you for all
So
your
you guys
good
think
work.
this is a worthwhile
I think
thing
it's
to
very-
do? I mean,
I think we need to do this, we need to talk about the stuff, and give us the updates, because like I said, it brings up the generator issue.
Right.
And we all talked about it, and there's all this discussion after the fire happened, and here we are.
And I know,
For all we know, building next to us could catch on fire next week, and be in the same
and I
position
just
for
know
us.
that there's some issues that have been bothering Commissioner Root, and he needs to get them out, because there's no sense of him holding them in, he needs to get them out, we need to discuss them, we need to come up with a resolution, and then we can move on.
We're all grown ups, we can handle it.
Yeah, so that was that. So, next is chairperson, I just wanna say that, as far as the building out there, I didn't meet it all this week with, Perrin, but previous 3 weeks, I met 2 or 3 times a week with them. We got everything going, we ran into a few glitches. One of the glitches is that back strip where we're putting that building, was zoned, multi-housing. So I authorized, without the board's consent, $400 to pay to get rezoned. City of Kearney said it shouldn't be a problem. Talking with the drain commissioner, talking with Joe Sawyer a little bit this afternoon. We're gonna have to do something about some retention ponds. This time around, we'll all do retention ponds. If we decide to put a jail there, and my personal opinion is there is enough room for a jail in another building out there. The gentleman yesterday didn't seem to think so, but I really think that there is. But at that point, if only a jail goes in, at that time, there will be the cost, and it might be over the 35 million, where we have to come up with more infrastructure to handle the stormwater that area is producing. And I don't think we're talking millions of dollars, but I'm sure we're talking thousands of dollars.
So who said we need the retention?
The current planning commission is saying that it's part of their, it's
Because
just
you
one
know
of
that's like sand out
the,
there.
yeah, well, you still.
Like
so
you run the guard
hopefully we
hose and it
can-
doesn't pump.
Well,
We
it's
can
not
deal
sand
with it.
down on the lower part, I was out there, and that's heavy and.
Yeah, out in the back, I mean, I don't think it's gonna be
Soil.
that big of a deal, we can, get a dozer out there and push out a pond out back, a little retention pond. But at some point, we'll end up having to hook into some storm drainage or something, there's none readily available, and that's the biggest thing, so. And there would have to be some catch basins.
Can we do one in front of, up by the road there? Or do we have to have it in the back? Maybe we have it in the back corner.
The retention pond?
Yeah, maybe we have it in the southeast corner.
Yeah, I thought we got 100 foot behind there, and Gary says it's clay, so that would actually make kind of a good little retention pond back there, so. Just something else, just a couple of little glitches, but, the planning commission has reviewed it, or excuse me, that's wrong. Some of the people over there have reviewed it, we have all of the proper paperwork in order. The planning commission is going to be meeting either this week or next week, I forget the exact date, and we're expecting approval. With that approval, Perrin will finish the contract, and we did talk about, whoever wasn't here the other day, that I sat down with Tony and Tim and Tony have sat down with Perrin. We ended up about $50,000 more than the base bid was to get everything how we wanted it. We would expect no changes from that point on. We added some stuff, we even took out a few things, cement approaches in front of the big doors and stuff like that for now, trying to keep the cost down. So there's about $50,000 more that it's gonna cost than what we originally agreed to, but this will be the last time. This will be put on the agenda next month, final approval. I don't wanna make that decision on my own. And other than that, the consumers, the utilities and stuff, we're still waiting for prices on that. None of the contractors, the builders, included that in their original estimate. So we knew going into this that that was gonna be an additional expense. And I'm just speculating, that could be anywhere from $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 also for all the utilities. So, we're really looking at a total project of somewhere around $550 now. So, maybe a little less, but I don't believe that will change after we sign the contract. We're gonna hold real tight to what we've designed and get it done. Anything that's missing will have to be figured out later down the road. So I don't know if anyone has any other additional questions on that. Other agenda items?
Is there just a quick question? I don't believe we have employees that work for the county that are paid less than $10 an hour, do we? Because
If we do, they are part-time officers up at the youth detention center. If we do, I think even they may have hit $10.
Summer help, maybe?
That's gonna change come
It's all
January
going up.
to $10 an hour, but potentially, it could be a little less.
Yeah.
They're projecting
If
10.
they're not there yet, they're close. So that's not gonna be a
Yeah,
big.
So it's not a big budget issue.
No, and I think Tim Hill, some of his, when he hires temporary employees to mow the grass and stuff, I think they're in the $10 or $11, $12 area.
I will say that I was contacted by someone from LSW, Langsburg, Scioto, Woodbury Emergency Services, and they discussed that with me, is that they have people that are only making $9 an hour, and that's all got to go up, and they were asking. They were concerned that it was being state mandated and who was going to pay for it. At that point, I did send an email to Henry Wolf, who was Ben Frederick's, one of his assistants, and that was about 3 weeks ago, and I haven't heard back from him, so I will update that email, but I'm trying to find out, what's going on in the state and how they're expecting places like the fire departments, the volunteer fire departments, and the EMSs, and places like that, where that money's going to come from. So I know the LSW is running a tight budget now over there, very tight, and just that small amount is gonna hurt them bad. So there has been some state level discussion on that. Any other agenda items? Call to the public. Mr. Miller?
No, sir. Thank you for asking.
Meeting adjourned.
I need signatures, please.
He's on this.
Oh, actually,
I can pull that out, but I know, it's my
I'll ask them now. How are you, Jeff? And then I got all this stuff for.
Yeah,
good
meeting.
Well done.
He said, I don't bet Mark, I'm on my.
Might be.